Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel, to those of you who are liking the videos, commenting, uh, sharing the links on social media, following me on social media. You guys are amazing. The horror community is such an amazing place. So, thank you all. I really do appreciate all of you very much. Today, we're going to be talking about an interesting one. Today, we're talking about Jack Frost from 1997. Um, I had only seen parts of this movie, and my expectations going in were pretty low based on what little bit I had seen and also what I've heard about the movie. I mean, it's a horror comedy, very silly, but decided to go ahead and uh, watch the whole thing and give it a review here since I'm doing some Christmas horror movies right now. So, yeah, this will be interesting to talk about today, but let's jump right in. Tagline for the film: He's chillin' and killin'. Brief synopsis: On his way to be executed, the vehicle containing notorious serial killer Jack Frost collides with a hazardous chemical truck, turning him into a snow covered mutant and unleashing him on the unsuspecting town of Snowington. Yeah, interesting. Film was released November 18th of 1997, directed by Michael Cooney, written by Michael Cooney and Jeremy Page, produced by Jeremy Page and Vicky Slotnick, cinematography done by Dean Lent, music by Chris Anderson and Carl Schurtz, distributed by Apex Entertainment Incorporated, a runtime of 89 minutes, budget of $500,000, no box office numbers as it was done direct to video. Let's talk for a moment, as I always do, about the cinematography, score, and story. Um, Movie doesn't look great. I mean the cinematography is it's okay. There's some cool shots here and there. Um, the score. I'm going to give the score some credit. Actually, I felt like the score was pretty good for this movie because there's kind of some Christmas music that plays here and there, but it's done a little bit differently and has a slightly creepy tone to it. Yeah, the score actually, it's so funny to talk about this kind of movie and mention the score because I've said a lot of times score doesn't stand out to me, but it does in this movie. There are a couple of places, and again, it's just kind of that eeriness that they put into some Christmas music that stood out. I actually think the score for this movie is pretty good, all things considered. Um, Maybe the score stood out, and I was so high on it because the rest of things are not so great. But yeah, I like the score for this. I thought they did a good job. Um, the story's funny. It's a fun story. This is not anything mind blowing. This is not anything that's just going to make you think, "Oh my God, I have to watch this movie." When you read this synopsis, you read the plot, you're like, "What the hell is this?" And yeah, that's pretty much what you think watching the film most of the time as well. Is what the hell is this? But uh, you know, there's some fun things here and there. I don't think the effects are great for this film, but the budget was pretty cheap, and I'm not sure, other than using a shit ton of CGI, I'm not sure what they could have done a lot better. But yeah, it is what it is. Cast for the film: Scott McDonald, Christopher Alport, Stephen Mendel, Eileen Seeley, F. William Parker, and Shannon Elizabeth in her first feature film. Yeah, I had forgotten that I had heard she was in this movie until seeing her. And I was like, wow, okay, Shannon Elizabeth. American Pie. That chick is in this movie, but I mean, she's in some other stuff as well. But that's the first thing that I think of. I think when I think of Shannon Elizabeth. But yeah, I had read that the acting was terrible in this movie. Going back and watching it now, it's fine. I don't think the acting is horrible. There are a couple of scenes where the acting is not great, but overall, I don't think the acting is the issue with this movie. It's okay. There's no Oscar-winning performances coming out of this, but it's not like that's the problem with the film, right? The acting is okay. The characters, they're somewhat likable. Some of them here and there. I mean, they're all just silly, funny characters, right? I mean, again, nobody is supposed to be up for some kind of an award thing at the end of this. I mean, this is just this movie is what it is, and yeah, the characters are okay. Yeah, not really a lot to say about that part. But uh, as far as production notes, I could not find anything for this film that I thought really was worth mentioning. Critics absolutely destroyed this movie, and watching it, I understand why. This is not, I don't even know why critics would review a movie like this, to be honest with you. Especially, I've talked about this before. there are so many film critics out there that review horror movies that don't like horror movies and then trash them for the way they are. Do you not know what you're getting yourself into? I mean, that's what these movies are, right? But for critics to try to review a movie like this and get a serious review on it just doesn't make sense to me. You ought to know just from the title what we're getting ourselves into with this, right? So there was a sequel in 2000. I'm not sure if I'll get around to doing it or not. Maybe next year for Christmas. I'll talk about Jack Frost too. We'll see. Let's go ahead and get into the plot and walk through this. All right. So we start this movie with kind of an uncle telling a little girl the story of the killer Jack Frost. Um, she wants to hear a Christmas story, and so he starts telling her this horror Christmas story, and you get this little girl's voice occasionally. She doesn't know if this is a story she wants to hear. Kind of funny, I guess. I mean, it was all right. And then we get the van transferring Jack to his execution. I think here is where I can see where people had a problem maybe with the acting for this movie. Jack before he's a snowman is maybe worse than Jack as a snowman. Not great, but we get our introduction to Jack. He is being transferred again to this execution, but in the process, he ends up killing a guard. There's also a blizzard going on, and so the van ends up crashing into a truck that has all these chemicals on it. These chemicals spray Jack, and he basically begins to melt, right, as a person. He's melting down onto the ground. There's another guard that sees this happening. Effects were mediocre here. I mean, it looked okay. Again, it's not great, but they tried with the budget they had. I guess that's all they could do, right? So, but then he also kind of begins to merge with the snow as he's melting. We then get a flashback to Sheriff Sam Tiller, excuse me, who is the one that had arrested Jack. And we get that flashback and see him arresting Jack. We can see that Sam is still pretty shaken up about his interaction with Jack back in the day. He and his family are traveling. They end up driving past this accident. And then a little while later, a citizen there in their small town is found murdered, Old Man Harper. The sheriff calls in the FBI to make sure that Jack Frost died in this accident, and he's told that he is. And that's kind of where we are here. Again, nothing mind-blowing is what it is. We're setting up our story. It's fine. At this point, that's really all I can say is it's fine. From there, we get the town pretty shaken up about this murder. And then we get a scene that, I guess it's supposed to be a fun scene. I don't know. It's not great. There's the sheriff's son is going outside to decorate a snowman that pops up in the yard. There's these bullies around there. They're giving him a hard time. But the snowman ends up quickly pushing one of the bullies, and as he falls, somebody else is coming by on a sleigh. This kid ends up getting decapitated. Very silly kill. Looks okay, I guess. I mean, you don't see a whole lot other than a head flying through the air there for a few moments. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The kid's parents are very upset about it, obviously, but even that, they're upset, but they're not like upset. It's almost more of an anger than it is really being devastated that their son just was killed. I was waiting for something different there, a different set of emotion or something to happen. It didn't come. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, I got to remember what I'm watching. Yeah, that's kind of is what it is. Later on, the parents of the kid that was killed, the snowman ends up appearing at their house, excuse me. The dad gets killed. He gets a axe shoved down his throat. The mom, she gets strangled with Christmas lights. She also gets a snowflake thing like stabbed down into her head. The special effects don't look bad here. These kills don't look terrible. But just the snowman himself, the way Jack Frost is moving around and the way they keep introducing him, and we find out that he has the ability to kind of like change his form at will, like melt into water and come underneath the door or whatever and then form back. Again, very silly. I don't think, as I was watching this movie, a movie like this is supposed to be funny, right? I mean, again, you can't take this seriously. It's silly. It is what it is. And you're supposed to just have fun and laugh and enjoy it. I don't know if the comedy was really landing for me. There were a couple of times I kind of smiled or maybe would give a little bit of a chuckle, but overall, it's not like I thought this movie was funny. Yeah, and that's kind of the issue here. A horror comedy You need to either be scary with a little bit of comedy mixed in, or you need to be funny with a couple of scares, or at least some really cool kills. And I don't think we really got either one of those things in this movie. I'll continue on the plot and then kind of wrap it up. But that's kind of what I would my overall thought process is on this film. Um, these gentlemen who are supposed to be in the FBI, I believe their names are Agent Manners and Agent Stone, arrive. It's obvious that they know what's going on. They end up convincing the sheriff to gather the townspeople together and issue this curfew. Everyone gathers together in a church, basically to spend the night there while the investigations are going on. Um, yeah, I feel like there's another kill in there somewhere that maybe I missed. But yeah, a little bit later, we get one of the deputies who is out looking for things. I mean, he comes across as he's driving along. There's suddenly a snowman in the middle of the road, and when he gets out to look into it, and the snowman kind of vanishes for a minute, ends up in the police car and runs over the deputy. It's fine. We get another scene where the kid who was killed, who was decapitated, his sister, who is played by Shannon Elizabeth, her and her boyfriend end up sneaking into the sheriff's house, and they're basically in there to get drunk and have sex, and that somehow is going to get back at the sheriff for what he allowed to happen. To me again, plot does not make sense in this movie. There's a lot of things that don't make sense, but interesting kill here. The boyfriend gets killed with some icicles. We find out that Jack Frost can shoot icicles at people. So that happens. We get an interesting kill with the sister upstairs, or to start with, she's taking a bath, and then again, the Jack Frost is able to move into more of a liquid form and attack her as she's getting out of the bathtub. It's almost like he's supposedly, I don't even want to say this, but he's sexually assaulting her with a carrot, although you don't really see anything. The carrot that they use for the nose for a snowman. It's very silly. He basically ends up killing her by slamming her head, I think, off the wall multiple times. I don't know. It just, yeah, I hate that this was Shannon Elizabeth's first role. Yeah, it is what it is. We'll move on. The snowman finally does then use the police car that he got from running over the snowman to head to the police station and finally confront Sam and these other people, and now they know what's happening. And Agent Stone reveals that he actually works in genetic research, and he knows what these chemicals can do and what they were supposed to do. He knows that the snowman is Jack Frost. There's some very silly chase scenes throughout this where Jack is trying to get to the sheriff and some of the other people and kill them, and there's a scene where they use a blow dryer for a moment to back him up because the heat's going to melt him. They finally end up blowing up the police station. That doesn't work. Jack just keeps coming back. They force him into a furnace using the hair dryers. He ends up evaporating, but then he reforms and kills one of the agents and injures another one. He ends up trapping Sam and his son in a car there at one point, but earlier in the film, the son had made the Sheriff Sam there some oatmeal to take with him to work and eat it, and the sheriff didn't do so. But they realized that they ended up throwing some of this oatmeal at Jack, and it burns him. And we find out that the kid put antifreeze in the oatmeal to keep his dad from being cold, but it's the antifreeze that's in the oatmeal that is affecting Jack. At one point, Jack does stab Sam and kind of seems to have him in trouble, but then another one of the citizens crashes into the area with a truck that they had filled the back of it with this antifreeze, which causes, now Jack and Sam are in the back of this truck when he crashes in, and they end up in the truck, and the antifreeze causes Jack to melt. And they end up then putting all of this into containers and sealing it and, attempting to bury it to put an end to Jack Frost. But at the end of the film, we see one of the containers bubbling a little bit, so we know Jack is still around. I mean, that's a very, very brief walkthrough of this movie. Very short covering, but it's one of those that is so hard to take seriously. There are a couple of things that look good. Like I said, there are one or two of the kills that aren't bad, but the movie is just, I struggle with it in the sense that, like I said, as a horror comedy, you either need to be scary and just have some funny moments mixed in, or you need to be pretty funny with some good effects or a couple of good kills or one or two moments that are somewhat scary. And this movie just doesn't land with that. I know what this movie is. My expectations again were not high. I knew what was coming, but it was still just there. The comedy didn't really land for me. It could have been worse. Again, there were a couple of moments here and there where I kind of smiled, and I'm not going to say that I hated watching this movie. It was interesting. I've seen movies that I think are a lot worse that other people probably love. Um, but overall, this movie doesn't just, it doesn't really land either. Will I ever watch it again? I could see this movie, a while back I was on Our Life in Horror's channel, and Brendan and I were talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I know I probably just insulted people to even compare this to A Nightmare Before Christmas. But overall, I feel like A Nightmare Before Christmas is a very mid movie. Now, again, that's coming from someone who is 53 and sat down to watch the movie by myself, right? It's not great. It's just not good, in my opinion. It's very mid, very mid. But we talked about how The Nightmare Before Christmas might be fun to watch with other people. If you had small kids and we're introducing them to, holidays or something, that might have been a fun way to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas, or, have it on in the background, like for a Christmas party, something like that. I feel like this movie, well, you don't want to watch it with kids. I feel like the movie gives the same vibe, and that to just sit down and watch this movie by myself, it was okay. It was very silly. I mean, it is what it is. I keep saying that, but if I would have been with a group of people and we'd have been having like a Christmas party, or just having fun and hanging out and having this movie on, it would have been more fun. Just talking to other people about this while we're watching it and laughing at some of the absurdities in this movie. But to just sit down and watch it by myself, it's just like, it's okay. Yeah, I don't see watching it again anytime soon. Maybe Christmas time next year, I'll throw it in and give it a rewatch and see if it's any better. But yeah, Jack Frost for me is just a horror comedy that doesn't really land. It's not horrible, but it's not good either. I would give this movie a 4 out of 10. The effects don't look good. The snowman doesn't look good. The kills are mediocre overall. Some very silly stuff and some plot points that don't make sense. Yeah, this one didn't work for me. I know there's some people that hate this and think it's an incredibly stupid movie. There's other people that think it's so silly it's fun and they love it. Both of those opinions are fine. I understand both of them 100%. Just for me, it doesn't really quite, it just doesn't hit. So 4 out of 10 for me on Jack Frost. If you've seen this movie, I'm curious as to your thoughts. Where do you land on that spectrum? Do you love this? It's something you watch every year because you just think it's so silly that it's great? Or are you one that think this movie is not good at all and you just don't check it out? So yeah, share with me your thoughts on Jack Frost. I'm very curious. Let's see. Later this week, we've got 2 more Christmas movies coming this week, as we are now in Christmas week, right? So here in a couple of days, I'll be back to talk about another horror comedy that's kind of silly, The Mean One, and then we'll wrap it up as the day after Christmas. My last Christmas review episode will come out. My friend Aaron from A&B Horror Movies is on, and we are going to be talking about the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. That will air the day after Christmas, kind of wrapping up the holidays, and then some fun stuff coming after that. My friends Rob and Kaylee from That Horror Couple are going to be back. We're going to be talking about Friday the 13th Part 2. Yeah, just a lot of fun episodes. So be sure and subscribe if you haven't yet so you don't miss anything. Most of the episodes I think are better than this one. So yeah, hit the subscribe button, check it out. Go ahead and hit the like button for me today. Leave me some comments. Follow me on social media. I do try to follow back as much as possible. And yeah, thanks for watching me try to review this kind of movie. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you soon to talk about The Mean One.